Okay, hello everybody. Welcome to Korean Atlanta Mentorship. And in this video, we're going to talk about a news story that popped up in my feed recently about a New York DJ who goes by the name DJ Envy. I'm not too familiar with him, but what happened with this DJ is he promoted another dude named Cesar Pina, who goes by the name Flipping NJ. I think that stands for Flipping New Jersey. And basically he promoted this guy, and he was talking about how we should all partner up together, and he was soliciting funds from other people, and apparently they've been bilked out of millions and millions of dollars. So it's a pretty crazy story. And this is just recent. Like look at the published date, October 10, 2023. Now, before I actually go into the story, I just want to kind of give you my thoughts about being scammed. In fact, some of you who have talked to through Zoom calls have had this experience at different levels. I've had one person tell me like, "Oh, I was gonna, working with a teacher, and I spent $40,000 with them, and and then like she, the person who I was working with took the money and ran, and I'm like, what?" And this was a six-figure earner. Like this was a high income earner. I had another person tell me that, someone from their home country, wanted a loan, and apparently like they got a loan, and then they never paid it back, and there was nothing that came out of their fruition, right? So it's not just one or two people. I mean, I've talked to several people who have that type of stories on our one-on-one Zoom intro calls. And here's the thing, I never promised you anything, right? Half of the battle is just learning how to set expectations. And so one of the things I always tell you in general is that I don't promise you anything. You're not going to get anything with me. I'll probably try my best, but I don't promise you anything, right? You need to learn how to set expectations. So that because here's the thing, you know, I'm going to kind of go over what I think a scam is. And a lot of people think that a scam is, oh, you pay a lot of money for something that isn't worth that much, which is kind of true. But really, a scam is, you get something that you were promised and you didn't get it, and you paid money for it. It doesn't even matter how much money you paid for it. There have been times I've been angry in my life where someone, let's say, promised me something for a cheap price, and then they never gave it to me, and I was really angry. And there were other things where I paid a lot of money, but it was delivered well, the product was good, and I was happy for it. So it's not just about price, it's what was promised for the price, right? So think about that app where, like, that rich people app. I don't know if you've heard of it. I think it was called I Am Rich. It does apps. The app does absolutely nothing, and you pay $5,000 for it. Now, why would people who bought that app not feel scammed? Because they knew what they were buying, even though it was a high price product that did absolutely nothing. Maybe it was just a purchase to feed their ego, um, but they don't feel scammed because it's not always about the price. It's what are you getting for the price? Did you get what was promised? That's really the only difference. And so what happened, so let me just kind of go here, is that this radio DJ promoted alleged New Jersey scheme leaving investors out of millions, right? And so again, this popular rapper, radio rapper DJ Envy says, they said they were swindled from and they lost millions of dollars. Okay. Actually, before I get into the story, I kind of want to go into a little bit more philosophical rant. Um, Here's the thing, right? These stories never like they don't surprise me anymore, and that's how I know I'm getting old, because it's like all that innocence from my youth is like now drained away, and I always am in defense mode because I always think, oh, yeah, most people would rather steal $1 from you than make a million with you. Isn't that sad? Like that's why I don't really step out of my house that often, because it's like, yeah, 99 people that I talk to aren't just going to do anything. And so sometimes you have to, it's like a 99% to 1% ratio of bad to good. And if somebody overpromises me something, that's where I'm just like, yeah, right. And here's the thing, when you don't need money, you kind of are the way that you keep your money, if you have a lot of money, is that you learn how to say no. And when you learn how to say no, people will get mad at you. Like that's the honest truth. And the worst part is, for me, I would never scam people because I'm too lazy to scam people. Like I think it takes less work to honor an off to offer an honest product or service to the marketplace than to have to scam people and kind of like a Ponzi scheme where you take someone's money, you promise them a return, you pay them with somebody else's money, and the kind of in a daisy chain do that over and over again. Eventually, the Ponzi scheme is going to collapse, right? But again, as I said before, there's a lot of people out there who would steal $1 from you to make $1 million with you, and that's how I know I'm getting old, just because like I'm actually surprised when people are like, "Oh my goodness, you're an honest person who does things right." And here's the other sad thing. If you're an honest person who does things right, you're going to be criticized, right? Because people are such, they're so used to being in a deceptive environment. And sometimes like it's just like they talk to you like you're some sort of a weird alien species. And the other thing too, and here's another rant that I'm going to make. I mean, I think last month there was a news story about like a couple of Korean people in the Atlanta area. It's a crazy story, right? They brought a lady from Korea who thought she was going to join some sort of religious organization, or maybe it was a religious organization, and they basically beat her and starved her in like one of the family's basements. It was really insane, right? And it's like, why are we doing this to our own people? But usually it's like your own people who will do this to you, right? And there's a term for that called affinity scams. So basically, like if you're gonna fraud someone, like one of the ways that you con them is by saying, hey, we're all like of the same race or the same religion or the same anything. So, why would I do you wrong? And those are the people most likely to do you wrong, right? Like that's the sad part. Like we all need to stick together and work and learn and grow together. But why are people trying to scam each other, right? It's sad. Affinity fraud. Now, here's the funny thing. There was a video about this that I saw where it's like, oh yeah, this guy Cesar Pina, he's like one of us, and he's from the streets, and look at him, he's like owning 1,000 properties or something like that. And so that's kind of like an affinity scam too, because you're trying to get off money from people who say like, hey, this guy's just like you, right? But let's read the article. So let's actually go to the article. Popular radio host DJ Envy is under scrutiny for promoting a real estate venture of a friend that some investors say now say was a scheme. So on a syndicated iHeartRadio show, The Breakfast Club, Envy often promoted the real estate venture of his pal Cesar Pina, but it's just more than a passing endorsement. And he says, "We've helped so many people, not just regular people, celebrities, athletes, executives, blah 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 blah." Okay, and then he says that they had seminars. That's really common, and especially when you go to these seminars, they like always upsell you. Like they have like the first weekend where like the first day, they hype you up, and then they upsell you to the second seminar, which is probably like the first seminar was like $150, second seminar was like $1,000, and then like the last seminar, like that's like the big kahuna where they sell you the $15,000-$20,000 package, right? All right. Now, I don't know what exactly happened, but apparently he solicited people and their money. And he says, so Jose Santiago and his wife Jessica Ortiz say they believed investing in a real estate venture in a Patterson neighborhood, so that's a neighborhood in New Jersey, would be their ticket to the American dream. That's the reason I got into real estate, so we can actually start flipping properties, buying properties so we can have something for our kids in the future. And then the couple says they connected with Cesar after seeing on social media with DJ Envy, right? And so he's advertising all over the radio, and so I thought this was legit. And we invested $200,000, and looks like we want to get it back, right? And so if you basically they were promising 30% returns, right? It says right here 30% returns on the profits. And again, he just took the money. These people, they took $200,000 of equity from their home in Florida, right? So first of all, like unless you really cannot, probably be best to invest in like your local market because you're familiar with that. But taking out $200,000 in equity and not, one of the things that you should learn to do is do the correct paperwork, maybe even do a background check, right? And even says he admits he's like a con artist. Like he admitted on the radio, like I'm a con artist. Like, okay, well, I don't know about you, but if you have a background, some sort of issue with your background, maybe I might do something with you, but I'm not certainly not going to pull out $200,000. Now, here's the crazy part. You know, with that $200,000, you could have just probably started investing yourself and not just give it to someone else who get the experience yourself how to do your first deal, and then once you gain the experience, do other deals and then partner up with people, right? Don't just blindly take out money like money from your home equity to invest and just give it to someone else. And that's the problem with a lot of people, is that a lot of people just want to um, be on autopilot, and they don't want to take responsibility, and they don't want to play in a leadership role, whatever it is they do, because real estate is oversold as like, oh, everything's totally passive and you'll just make great returns, and that's just totally not true, right? But again, they take $200,000. They say they were told profits would come within 4 months, and they never saw a dime. And he says, I'm paying the interest right now every month, and I have nothing. Oof, that's pretty harsh. Okay, so, and then we have some other people, Nigel Chamblin said he was conned by Caesar into investing $235,000. And then along with Holmes and Hawthorne and Whipple that each required 300,000. So we have another person who was conned into investing 235,000. This person, Augie Rios, owns a custom auto shop and lost a total of 64,000, right? So here's the thing. Here's another lesson that we're kind of realizing, is that we just can't believe people just because they have a social media presence, right? So just because like I'm a YouTuber and I have more than 1,000 subscribers doesn't mean that you should believe me or any of my claims that I'm going to help you, right? Do a little bit of due diligence, and the easiest way to know like if someone's going to perform is, here's the thing. Don't give them the big check up front. It's like working with a contractor, right? If you have a brand new contractor, you don't give them the whole entire money for the project up front. You give them the money for the project, well, in draws, right? Like you give them a little bit up front. Did they do the work? Okay, then you give them for the next phase. Okay, and it should be something similar to that. You don't give 200, $300,000 in one go to someone you don't know. Maybe invest 5,000, 10,000. Here's the thing. It always assume that whatever you invest or loan money in, I don't know if any of you have ever loaned money to friends or family, assume that you're never going to get it back. And if you get it back, that's awesome. But don't ever assume, don't ever be one of these people where it's like, this is our life savings. And, if let's say like this doesn't work, then my life is screwed. You better keep that money because in case of emergencies, and not, be aware that investment has this risk if you want to kind of try out people. So for example, if they can't even do like a $200 job, what makes you think that they're going to do like a $200,000 job, right? And then, so let's just go back here. Anthony Martini lost $1 million. So again, we have, and I'm not laughing at them. I'm just like laughing at the situation where it's like, this is insane. The fact that these are again, one of the things that I've talked about in this channel is that not having money is like the greatest thing ever when it comes to real estate investing. Because if you learn how to do real estate investing when you don't have money and you kind of work at it, you know how to do good deals, right? Whereas not having the training and experience, but having a lot of money is almost a recipe for disaster. It's like being a pro athlete. Like it's like having all the money and none of the education. But let's just go back here. Lost $1 million. And so lots of floodgates, and alleged victims started appearing on the social media platform of influencer Tony the Closer, a self-proclaimed real estate scam watchdog. So I had no idea who Tony the Closer was until I heard about this incident. So apparently he's got a lot of YouTube subscribers, and I'll check him out a little bit more. And well, basically it's just about him, yada yada yada. He did seminars, right? Seminars seem to be really big. I just don't, I don't provide seminars, but I do distribute education, lifetime education, and I charge money for it, right? I get a commission for selling educational packages, but it's not. I'm not promising you results or anything like that, right? So totally not over exaggerate, and that's what you want to do. Half the battle is making sure that you know how to set expectations with the people that you're working with. Okay. So, all right. So there's some hope for investors who bought into properties in Paris and elsewhere in New Jersey. A judge is appointed a bankruptcy trustee to oversee some of the Piñas companies. So really insane. And so what are some lessons learned from this? Lesson one, learn how to vet the person that you're working with and not just do like believe them because they're on social media. Don't even believe me. You know, when you're doing any sort of investment, working together with people and money, learn to think like a bank, right? So, for example, when I lend money to people, I kind of in the back of my mind, I'm prepared to lose it. But if somebody doesn't pay me back, they've essentially created what I call a credit profile in my mind. And you know how banks, like if you're 90 days late, they kind of flag you and give you a low score. That's what I do with other people. If people don't pay me back, they ain't getting money from me ever again, right? That's just sad reality. And I know people with a lot of money who have, who've lent money and they're always disappointed because like people always like promise them, and a lot of it is just based on habits, right? And a lot of almost people believe their own BS when it comes to like, borrowing money and never paying it back. But again, don't just believe people just because they're on social media. Number two, uh, work with an actual attorney, right? So if you're doing some sort of partnership or deal, do it legit. Get an attorney. Make sure that they write the paperwork for you. I don't know what attorney actually vetted their work, and maybe they did, and maybe they had a crappy attorney. But if from what I heard, it was just like he promised to them a return. 4 months later, we're like, "Where's my money? Oh, why don't we do another project?" So it was like a cycle of like borrowing more money, more and more money again and again and again, right? And then so what's the next lesson that we can learn? Um, don't get greedy. I think one of the reasons why these people got scammed and conned again, it's it's not their fault, but it kind of is, right? And I've been in and I say that because I've been in that position myself too, where I naively trust people, and then people promise you the whole world and then you get nothing in return. Now luckily this happened to me in small scales. Like I was once upon a time I was too poor to ever have $200,000 of equity in my home and then just give it out to people, right? Like that would have been impossible for me. Now that I'm a higher level, you learn how to say no to people, and you're okay with people getting mad at you, right? That's how you keep your money. I'm really serious about this. Like it's like the more that you can just withstand people getting mad at you, that's how you don't lose money, because there's a lot of shysters out there who again they'd rather steal $1 from you than make a million with you. I'm not kidding about this. This is why I don't like stepping outside my house. This is why like there are crazy people out there who will do all this work to lure someone from another country to their home and then beat them and starve them to death. Like people are crazy. I don't know, whatever. Once upon a time, I always felt like I don't know. I feel like people were more sane in this country than they were before. Did you ever feel that? Like, I feel like once upon a time people were actually normal, and now it's just like all this nonsense over and over again. And again, um, this is another thing too. Like, look at the people who were scammed. Like, the people who were scammed had a lot of money, but they probably made a lot of money in doing something else. Like this record producer, he lost $1 million into an apartment project, right? So what having a lot of money doesn't protect you from losing it, right? It's like, think about it like this, and this is how I think of myself and yourself, and I want you to think of yourself. You are royalty, right? So if you have a lot of money, just think of yourself as royalty. I think of myself as royalty every single day. Maybe I'm delusional, but I think of myself as royalty. Now think about this. What has pretty much every single person who's a king or a queen had to do? They had to build castles, right? And why did they have to build castles? Because random people would try to steal their stuff, people who they did not even know, which is why they had to build castles. And that's what you have to do when you make a lot of money, right? Don't be a broke athlete who made $1 million and just lost it 2 or 3 years later. You gotta be be a royalty where you're a king or a queen, and not only do you have a lot of stuff, but you gotta protect that stuff. You gotta build a castle. The problem with these people is they had a lot of money, but they didn't know how to build castles. They didn't know how to protect it, right? They just naively believed someone else that because again, a lot of it is lack of leadership. They did not want to be the leader, I mean, of their own enterprise, right? And so here's the thing: if I had 200, like 10 years ago, if I had $200,000 at my disposal, what I would have probably done is maybe spent 10 or 20,000 in trying to do some deals, and those, instead of doing the whole shebang of 200, I would just done 10, 20. And if it had been a failure, then I would just been lesson learned because I was ready to lose that 10 or 20. But I would have never invested the whole 200,000 if it was my life savings. Or if it's just interest that I'm going to pay on equity, a home equity line of credit on a home, right? And you have nothing in return. At least get a house. You know what I'm saying? But they didn't even have that. But yeah, so crazy stuff. But at the same time, I'm just not surprised anymore. I'm just not. I mean, I kind of wish I was, and that means like I'd have like a shred of innocence left in me. But people these days, they have no shame. You know, it's kind of sad that they don't, but they don't really have any shame. Okay, all right. So this is Korean Atlanta Mentorship. If you're interested in joining our group, go ahead and click the Google form link below. See, unlike most other people, I don't overpromise you the world. There is a fee to join our group, but I don't even promise you results or guarantees or anything. Like you may fail after joining our group, but we do provide you with the lifetime education. Right. Okay. So as I said before, click the Google form link to join to if you're interested in joining a group. Leave a comment if you have any thoughts about the story. Pretty crazy, right? And we will speak next time.